Hey, what's up, everybody? We're here to do Breaking Bad Season 2, Episodes 1 through... Oh, wait, no, we're not!
Yay!
It's Owen Finch and AJ Talent here. And we have I don't want to say a funny story, because it's really not funny. And, because,
It made us want to die, but then we got happy again.
So, here's what happened. So, typically, if you record videos via Skype, they typically will, like, pop up in a message so you can download it. And, you know, I downloaded at first the wrong video because we did, like, a take before this, that was, like, 8 seconds long. And, I was like, okay, so that's not the right thing. I'm just going to delete this off my computer. No big deal. I'll go get the right video. Then I look for the video, and I'm like, wait a minute. This doesn't add up. Like, it's not there, like... Because, like, it tells you, it gives you, like, the time the video gets made available, when the Skype call stopped and everything. And it said that we called, like, around that time, but the video wasn't there. So I'm like, no, this cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. How does this happen? Like, this, because this has never happened before, where, like, a video didn't go through, like, Skype or whatever. I'm like, are we still, did it not, did I hit stop recording and everything. What's going on here? Because I even hit start recording, and then we talked, like, shortly afterwards to, break down, like, season,
Yeah, like the second half.
yeah.
Too.
So, yeah, I'm looking for the Skype video, and when I realized, I closed Skype, I restarted my computer, saying, like, maybe, like, the Skype's, having an off day, because Skype does that a lot. And then when I just realized that's eventually just never going to be there after trying like 3 times to do everything I could.
Yeah, so he texts me saying, "Oh, there's very bad news." I thought someone died, but I mean, like, listen, that was an hour. That video took what, like an hour and a half? Like, that's a long time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was so distraught. I was just like, we lost. I think I said like Skype lost our video or something like that. Because I didn't want to say our video got deleted, because our video can't get deleted if it's never made, if it never comes out to begin with.
I was like, oh shit, did we like not hit record?
But I was like, no, we hit record. So yeah, pretty much we thought we were gonna have to redo it. And we were like, yeah, we're not doing this tonight. I'm not in the mood. Because
fuck that. That is soul crushing.
Yeah. So then I tried to watch something, but my soul was still crushed because I was like pissed off. And I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this trying to watch this now. So then, I don't know why, but I just kept checking to see if it was there, just because I wanted some false hope. And let me see, when did I text you? Because that's important. I texted you at 8:33, which means it was like a little bit before that. And I wrote, yo, we don't have to redo it. It just took a little longer for Skype to get it, I guess. I don't know why. It's never taken that long before.
Yeah, so Skype is an enigma.
Yeah. So then you wrote, oh, cool. And I think I just wrote, I'm so happy. Because, like, I mean, for you, you were probably just like, oh, yeah, cool. But me, I'm just like, I'm so happy.
Well, it was a big twist turn. Like, you were like, oh, video got deleted. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, an hour later, like, oh, never mind, it's back. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
Trust me, I was happy. I didn't want to fucking do that again.
But you probably didn't want
listen, Breaking Bad. I love you, but you take forever to talk about.
Yeah. So we would have had to done like 2 seasons. And like I said, if that video got deleted, it would have completely messed up our schedule and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
We only have like a limited amount of time to do this. We can't do retakes and everything like that. So
yeah, we're still gonna get through season 3, 4, and 5 before the 11th. So
yeah. And we're actually making pretty decent time. Like, yeah,
we're gonna try to get through season 3 this weekend.
Yep.
And then season 4 and 5 hopefully next week.
Yep. So yeah. So this is actually season 2, episodes 9 through 13 with you.
Yeah. So up until the season finale.
Yep. So this is basically the rest of the season 2. And then this video we're gonna do the letter grade. We're gonna we didn't do it in the first video because it can't create a season just based off the first half of it. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, this season we'll give it an actual grade.
I think we'll do that though in season 5 because it's broken up enough where we can do that. But let's talk about the rest of this season. Obviously it picks up called 4 Days Out. Pretty much this is a very significant episode in a sense, because Walt gets some good news and stuff. But first, when Walt goes to the hospital to get like his CAT scan, so that way they could find out like what the state of his cancer is and stuff like that. I like it too because Walt actually he's hiding from his family too that his cough is so bad too. Walt actually when he leaves his CAT scan, like he sees like basically he's not in good shape, like his throat is like open and stuff like that, like separate.
Yeah, so Walt kind of figures like, oh, I'm gone soon.
Yep. So he contacts Jesse, who's like about to have like him and Jane like just got together pretty much.
Yeah, and, like they're like officially dating now.
Yeah.
And like they're gonna go on like a date like to an art museum or something.
And he calls Jesse, and he basically like lies, saying like the methamine's gonna go bad if we don't go and cook for 4 days. So that's that way.
But Jane is able to like piece together like Jesse's like a drug dealer.
Yeah. But Jesse's pissed obviously because he was gonna go have like a nice like date, but now he has gotta like put that all on hold now. And he lies to Skylar, saying that he's just at his mom's for like the weekend, which like I said, these circle of lies Walt tells all come crashing down on him at the end of the season. So they go and cook for 4 days. I like how Jesse. It still shows how like stupid Jesse was because he picks up Walt at the airport in the RV where all the meth stuff is.
Yeah.
Good thing,
I do think it's kind of sad that like Walt didn't even tell his mom like that he had cancer. And like, I mean, they never really bring her up again. So like, I'm assuming that like Walt's mom just didn't know about any of this shit.
Well, I mean, they do talk about like how Skylar contacted him. I don't know,
but like,
I don't know.
I don't think she mentioned it like he has cancer. Like she was probably like, "How was your weekend with Walt?" Oh, Walt didn't show up.
Yeah.
So like, I imagine the first time Walt's mom is hearing about this, like it's because Heisenberg is like all over the news.
Yep.
That's another sad thing. She lost her husband because Walt brings up that his dad died when he was young, and then she probably outlived Walt.
Yep, probably.
So that's really sad when you think about it.
I kind of like it though. Like we never actually see her, but that's like we know like Walt's affecting people like we don't even see like on screen. I guess. Like that's important to him. Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool in a way. Like it's kind of like an unwritten story that like we know about.
Yeah.
And but yeah, basically they go out in the desert, and I like because this kind of shows in a way like that relate. I mean, we've always seen it, but like because this is like the most like on screen in a sense, where it was just Walt and Jesse like in an episode. Like it shows that relationship that they have that fatherly son relationship where like they give each other shit, but they care about each other. Because they like consistently argue with each other. Like Jesse wants to leave the RV keys on the counter, but Walt doesn't want to leave them by the workspace. So Jesse leaves them in the ignition of the RV, and that ties in a second. And you see like they basically go on a cooking spree montage. And
a lot of cooking montages in this season.
Yeah. Basically Jesse wants to take the night off because like I think that's implied they've been out there like a day or so just consistently cooking.
Like doing nothing but that. I would go nuts, like I gotta like take a couple breaks, watch some TV or something.
It's a good thing they wear like, I mean, I know they wear the mask, but like that has to fuck up with your mind if you're just doing nothing but cooking. Like the chemicals still have to kick in somehow. Like,
I mean, yeah, probably. They probably get like a couple fumes, but like I'm sure it's nothing like serious.
So yeah, Walt is convinced pretty much because I feel like even Walt gets bored doing this, even though like his life's on the line pretty much. And Jesse can't get the RV started because he left the keys in the car, which I had that. I mean, it wasn't with an RV, but my grandfather left the lights on in his car, and the battery pretty much died.
Yeah.
So I like
before the key thing happens, we should talk about like the high five moment, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, they're
after they cook a bunch, they piece together how much all of this is going to be worth.
Yep.
And they say like what, like $500,000 each.
Yep.
Something like that. So I love that like moment where like Jesse's like, come on, high five me, man, high five me, and Walt actually does it, and like they like scream and they're like,
yeah.
I don't know, it's a really fun moment, you know, because like it's sad in hindsight knowing just how shitty things get between them.
Yeah.
But like it's nice that in this season at least like they're friends, you know, like they have that father-son bond, like you said.
Yeah, this season I think season 3, towards the end, I would say season 4 not really as much because like they're both dealing with Gus. Even like before, like
I mean, towards the end they have like that handshake, but like that was like
yeah.
You know.
And then in the beginning of season 5, right before the Drew show. But
right. Yeah, they were pretty close in season 5.
Yeah. And then once we find out, like once Jesse found out Walt put. Oh, we also forgot to say, because this time if you stayed on the video and got spoiled, this time it actually is our fault because we forgot to tell you not to watch the.
Although to be fair, if you're jumping in at part 2 of season 2 of these videos, then I mean I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, like, Walt dies, by the way.
Yeah, Walt dies.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, like
he's alive. If you somehow missed all the trailers for the new movie.
Yeah. Hopefully he's dead, but we'll talk about that when we actually probably review season 5. Yeah, pretty much like once Jesse found out Walt poisoned Brock, like that's when it like disintegrated. Whoever.
But they kind of reconciled a little bit at like the last scene of the show, but like they weren't like friends like they are now.
Yeah. So like Jesse is about to when they can't get the RV started, and Walt thought the same thing I thought yesterday. Son of a bitch, because it's. Now, my situation was different because I was at school where a bunch of people could have, like, give us a jump start where they were in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, when they can't contact anybody. But I like, this scene because, like I said, Walt and Jesse's relationship, even though they're still pretty damn close, it gets closer because, like, they're around each other, like, probably, like, for, like, 3 days. Pretty much like the whole episode is like them trying to figure out like how the hell they're gonna get out of this situation.
Honestly, a lot of this episode feels like a sitcom.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad,
They try to like use the generator to get the battery started, but it catches on fire, and Jesse uses puts it out using the drinking water. And I like it too because Walt right afterwards comes out with the fire extinguisher. And Walt's upset, like he basically like rips Jesse a new asshole by saying like, "Oh, there's your problem thinking," and you can't really blame Jesse. Like he was just thinking on his feet. And
yeah, exactly. Like I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. I would have felt stupid after, but like in the moment, I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Fire, water, put it out."
Yep.
Although I do like when Walt's about to build a battery, like he's like trying to like tell like get Jesse to say something smart. He's like, "We're gonna use." Like this element, and Jesse's like, wire.
And it's like copper, yeah.
And I like how Jesse's like, we're gonna build a robot.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like Jesse's like super kiddie in the season, and I kind of love it.
And yeah, they try to call Skinny Pete, but he goes to like the wrong place, and they can't tell him like turn around because Walt's phone dies. Mm-hmm. And Jesse has no phone, I think, because of the Tuco situation still, I believe. And they try to, like, turn, like, the broken part of the generator to get it, like, to see if they could get it to start up, but it doesn't work. And basically then Jesse finds out pretty much, like, Walt lied to him, saying that methylamine went bad, because they know. I think Jesse just realized it because he was, like, in the moment and stuff like that. Pretty much, he even says like lie much, pretty much. And we find out like Walt's coughing up blood, and I think too that's what Jesse like realizes like he was because like he saw how bad a shape Walt was in, and realized like he wanted to get as much meth cooked before he passed. And you can see
his money could go to his family. And I like how like when they're like trying to go to sleep, Jesse's even like, "You're gonna get through this. Your family's gonna get your money." You know, like it just shows that like Jesse really cares about Walt. You know, we had already seen that Walt cares about Jesse, so it's nice to see the reverse.
Yeah. And basically Walt just kind of throws in the towel at this point. He even says, "I deserve this," pretty much. And this kind of ties back in because Jesse says the same thing later in this, like at the end of the season. Basically, like he's done so much shit, he like feels like he deserves, you know, lie to his family and everything. He even says like he can't even keep the lie straight at this point anymore.
Yeah.
So he's like even says like I deserve everything that happens to me. Now obviously too, we're like, yeah, well, you could think you're not saying this in season 4 because you really would have been like, you know, put through the shit even in season 5 because he says that, I think
honestly in season 5 Walt didn't really feel bad about anything, so it's kind of weird to see like how season 2 he's still actually like he's still Heisenberg-y, but like he's not like he hasn't completely lost his morality.
Yeah. And you know, when Jesse brings up like they could build a battery, you know, then Walt comes up with the idea. They get like a bunch of like metal that has like zinc in it.
Oh, that's when the copper thing happens. Yeah. My bad. I mixed that up.
And they grab like sponges that have like this chemical in it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head because chemistry wasn't my subject in high school, and I haven't taken a chemistry class since. So
I took chemistry in high school and I hated it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. If Walt was a teacher, you would have like been able to, I think, know chemistry.
I would have paid attention to everything he said.
Yeah.
And after that, it would have been like, hey, so like, how do you make meth?
Yeah. Anyhow, you say that though because you know everything outside of it, but who knows what?
Yeah. If I was just in Walt's class, not knowing he was a drug kingpin, I probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Maybe my chemistry was a drug kingpin. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, they cut up these sponges that have like this liquid in it that helps it, and then that's what they're gonna connect it using the copper. And I like this scene a lot because this is where you see like Eisenberg like molding Jesse into his son because like, you know, he's proud, like he's teaching him this type of stuff, and Jesse's getting it up until that copper scene.
Yeah.
And this showed like you know, that Walt wasn't just like smoke, like he you know, is also hands on.
Walt is like borderline genius.
Yeah. He's
building shit that like no one could do.
Yeah. I think they said they tried this like in Mythbusters and it actually didn't work, but it's a TV show at the same time.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna like, oh, it's a little unrealistic. Oh well, you know. Boo-hoo.
Yeah. Mythbusters is like, yep, we're gonna try this out, see if this works. It's like, it's also like in a TV show, like, you know.
I mean, like, you know, I'm sure it's like, I look at it like it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's believable. Whether it's like actually like you put it to the test, would it work?
Yeah.
No, but like it's possible it could, so I'm fine with it.
Maybe they did it wrong. Imagine they just did it wrong. Like.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not like Walt got on a unicorn and flew out of there. You know, it's like he built a robot or something. Yeah. Not a robot. Sorry, Jesse's like infecting me.
Yeah. So it finally does work. And I like the scene like at the end of the episode, pretty much. Where like Walt's about to like leave, and like, you know, we're like left unsure, like if this is gonna be the last time we see them together. And Jesse's kind of like hope. And that's the thing too. Everybody in the family's hopeful. That like Walt's news about his cancer is gonna be good, but like Walt's. I think this is where like, you know, Walt's keeping the fact that he like saw what his, you know, CAT scan looked like. So, you know, Walt's kind of like is you know, he doesn't really like say like whether or not Jesse will hear from him again. He just kind of walks off. And why don't you talk about the news that Walt gets with his cancer?
Walt finds out his cancer has been reduced by 60 or 70%.
Yeah.
And everyone in his family is super happy, and he's like kind of awestruck. You know, he doesn't really know how to feel.
Yeah. And we found out like the CAT scan he saw was like his cough was just so bad that like it was breaking tissues in his lungs.
And you know, I in season 3, I think, Walt mentions that he should have died a while ago. Yeah. I wonder if that's how he felt here. You know, like he felt like he should be dying. You know.
Yeah, and I know the scene that you're talking about because it's in this it's in not this episode, but it's in and then Walt it um and this is the scene where Walt punches like that like metal thing in the bathroom and like dents it because he like doesn't know how to feel. He's like kind of fueled by it, but
And I
yeah,
like how like it shows like the mirror again, and like it's all like you can see Walt's reflection, but it's all like twisted.
yeah,
I feel
kind
like
of
that's
so.
kind of like symbolic, so I really like that detail.
And yeah, that was that episode. The next one, the next episode, you really start to see like the early stages of Eisenberg really show for Walt. They have that like, that pony, and like I said, I still love when Skylar said these past few months have been really troubling for both me and Walt. Um, it's like Skylar, wait, you got 3 more seasons.
I
You
have
think it's
three more
bad now?
seasons of this shit. You ain't done yet.
Yeah, you
You're
think
not
it's
even
bad?
at the halfway mark.
Yeah, you think it's bad now? Wait until what? Like wait till season 4, I guess,
Oh
because that's
yeah,
kind of
you're gonna have hitmen coming to your house.
yeah. I even love too, like when Walt has to give a speech. His speech like is kind of like eerie in a sense. Like he even says like, when I got my diagnosis, I said, "Why me?" And when I found out I was in remission, he says, "Why me?" Like I kind of like that in a sense. And then we have the scene. Why don't you talk about the scene where at the party, Walter Jr., Hank, and Walt are hanging out with each other.
Uh, Hank and Walt and Junior are just having a good talk, like being uncle and
Yeah,
nephew. And Walt is being like the cool dad and letting Junior have a little bit of beer.
yeah,
And Hank's cool with it. And he was like, "Hey, your dad's being cool about it."
yeah,
But Walt kind of just keeps pouring him drinks.
yeah,
And Hank's like, "All right, come on, he's 14. Maybe a little bit was fine, but like don't get him like plastered."
yeah,
Um, and Hank eventually gets really pissed off and like just takes the cup and like goes to throw it away. But Walt gets like super territorial and is like, "Nope, he's my son. He can have a drink if he wants."
yeah.
But eventually, Walt Jr. starts like throwing up, and Skyler gets pissed off at Hank for letting Jr. drink.
But yeah, this is important because like you know, you see like Walt's in that Eisenberg like zone, like he's just super pissed off, and it's
Yeah, he's like super hostile towards Hank, and like
yeah,
I feel like this is like the first time Hank felt like he didn't truly know who Walt was.
yeah. Like he doesn't even refer to him as like Walt. He's like he refers to him as like Pow and stuff like that. Like he doesn't call Walt by name.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. And also in this episode, you really like see like throughout the whole show, they had talked about like all these things they had to do around the house that they wanted to fix, like the hot water heater and everything that they could never afford. And you see like Walt now can like actually like afford to do this stuff now. Like he gets the hot water heater, and I even like it too because like Walt's ego kind of is so big. Like there's like a little watt on like the wood, and he just completely like fixes it. So it's kind of like it's like fueling Walt in a way. Like he can actually like provide like little things like that.
Walt feels like kind of like the man.
Yeah, and the end of the episode, and this is Jesse's plot we'll talk about, but Walt sees like a guy that's like about to cook meth, and Walt's giving him like instructions about what to do and not do.
Yeah, well, the guy's like being super suspicious and obvious. So Walt's like, you don't get all this shit at one store. You go to several stores so they don't know you're buying all this shit for drugs.
Yeah, it really shows.
It just scares the guy off.
Yeah, it really shows like Walt and Jesse, even though they're still rookie, they're like not rookies in a sense because
they're like slightly more advanced.
Yeah, and even like Walt even didn't even make these type of mistakes either. Like when he was just breaking into the business.
Yeah, Walt was like he was a rookie, but like he was smart. Like he kind of had like basic like, all right, I should and shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
he wasn't a hard criminal, but like he still had common sense.
And then why don't you talk about what happens next?
Walt leaves the store and goes onto the parking lot where he sees the guy he scared off talking to this big buff dude.
Yep.
And Walt like squares up to the guy. You have to figure scrawny bald Walt squaring up this beefy dude. Yeah. And Walt just like, stay out of my territory.
And he
he scares the two guys off.
Yeah. And pretty much like I like this scene because like you know, you really got to see like that Eisenberg like start to come out of Walt, and
Yeah.
you know, this scene was
A
like,
lot of season 2 is like little moments of Walt getting to that point, you know.
yeah,
It makes like season 4 and 5 when he's like full blown Heisenberg, like really cool.
yeah,
You know, it's not like he like completely goes from Walter to Heisenberg. You know, it's like he builds up to it,
yeah,
which is what I like.
and in the same episode, Jesse and Jane are still a thing, and this episode's actually kind of cool in a way because even though like they didn't know what was gonna happen, you see like Jesse looking at like old superhero like photos. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this that he's drawn, and
Yeah.
Jane's kind of like not crapping on him, but kind of like saying this doesn't make any sense because like Jesse was like I don't know like in high school and stuff when he drew these.
And I like how one of the pictures is like reverse man. He can like reverse time or something.
But one of the questions that Jesse has is, what superpower would you have if you you were gonna have one? And this is kind of cool in hindsight because she ended up becoming like the actress became like part of a TV show called Jessica Jones, and she's Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
And that's a meme now. Like you scroll through it and you see like she's like sitting on like the desk in that super like hero thing, and it's kind of cool. Like even it's like in a way Breaking Bad like it's even though like it gets a hindsight thing, like Breaking Bad's like it's like Vince Gilligan like can see the future or something like that.
I know,
like,
right? Speaking of, I brought up the time travel power because it's like that's kind of like Jesse wishes he could turn back time to like that point in their relationship, you know.
I have a feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling like
it's go screwed up.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Jesse versus Reverse Man. He was Reverse Man after season like 5.
Oh absolutely. Reverse all like the season 1. Never talk to Walt. You know, go back to high school. Make sure he doesn't take that chemistry class.
Yeah, right. I mean, in high school you don't have the choice, but like say, I want to switch because I think you could switch. But still, but this is important too because this is the first time we actually like physically meet Jane's dad. We'd only heard about him, but we actually like physically meet him. And Jane, when he comes over like her house, like Jesse's trying to like introduce himself, but Jane's like acting like she doesn't like know him like personally anyways.
Yeah. Jesse's kind of like a little insulted by that, because like he thought they were like in a relationship,
And she's kind of, I feel like too, like Jesse, like even though like he thought like he doesn't really know how to like bring up like his emotions because I don't think he's ever been in like a relationship like this serious, so he kind of doesn't really know himself like what to think. And like Jane talked about how her dad's a hard ass, but you actually like see like in this like little scene like he's actually like not as much of a hard ass as like she's making him out to be. So
I like how the dad even brings up, that neighbor acted like he was expecting something,
Yeah.
So like I feel like he already kind of pieced together like Jesse and her were like dating.
Yeah. Jane says like she did it to protect him. Because now she's like letting him like smoke in the house and everything like that too. And Jesse kind of is like whatever, and then we see her come, and she puts in the picture of Apology Girl. Would have been cool if she was like Jessica Jones. It'd be funny.
Super predicted the future. She's like, how come you're making me call myself Jessica Jones? No reason.
Yeah, it'd be
a couple years.
It'd be funny. If like when she got brought onto that show, she was like wearing like the same outfit as this picture. Like,
I would love that. By the way, I didn't even know she was Jessica Jones until you said that. When I saw her, I was like, oh, she kind of looks like Jane from Breaking Bad. But, I never actually put that together.
So pretty much they make up though, like because she's Apology Girl, and it's kind of a cool way that like Vince Gilligan, instead of like having like the typical, oh, I'm sorry, we should have like been thin. It was kind of like a creative way for her to apologize in like the predictable way. I
like that. That was sweet.
Yeah.
Makes you care about the couple, and oh man, before all that shit happens.
Yeah. So that was quite good. And then the next episode is where everything changes in the show. Because you could say this episode kind of feels like the end of like Walt and Jesse being like the street level, drug dealers, and this is kind of like the starting of like them transitioning into like the professionals.
When Jesse meets up with Walt before they get introduced to Gus, he's like, "We're in the big leagues now," and he was right.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about the one little scene that leads to everything that happens in seasons 4 and 3 and 4?
They meet up with Saul, and Saul says he knows a guy who knows a guy.
Oh, you forgot. We should talk about the whole thing that sets it up is when Combo's like dealing drugs.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, on the street.
It's like just on a street corner, and he sees like two guys eyeing him.
Yeah.
He calls Jesse for backup, like, "Hey, man, something's about to go down." And Combo, you can kind of tell Combo's a good guy too, because like he like sees a little kid there, and he's like, "Kid, get out of here! Like something's about to happen."
Yeah.
But when he has his back turned, a bullet goes through him, and he turns around and sees like the little kid that was on his bike shot Combo.
Yeah. And you could tell like Combo doesn't want to take out his gun because it's a little kid that shot him, so he just kind of he runs, and I think eventually he gets like shot in the neck or something, and he bleeds out. And Skinny Pete, because of this happens, doesn't want any part of this anymore because basically like this like experiment, I guess I could call it, like caused like Badger to have, because we find out in this episode Badger's gone into hiding pretty much, and like because Combo died, like, and Skinny Pete's like on parole, he can't like get caught pretty much. Because I think if he gets,
Pete's like he wants to help Jesse and Walt, but like he doesn't want to like get himself arrested,
Yeah. So then you could talk about the Saul scene.
Yeah. So because like their like mini empire just fell apart with one death. So so they meet up with Saul, and Saul knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
And he's gonna try and set up a meeting where Walt and Jesse can like start cooking for him.
Like I said, I still think even though like he wasn't, this is Mike clearly that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Even though he says I know a guy who knows a guy, I think it's Mike. Just Mike probably didn't reveal to Saul that like he knows Gus and stuff.
Yeah. But he's probably talking about Mike, and Mike works for Gus. So
yeah.
I don't think Saul knows who Gus is. He just like he knows that Mike works for this guy.
Yeah. So it's very, so what in Better Call Saul, what I kind of hope happens when it gets closer to this is we actually like see Saul like call Mike, just to kind of show like it's setting up, but like he doesn't refer to like Walt and Jesse by name, because obviously I mean he does, but he could just say, yeah, I know these dealers that can like, and I just kind of want to see like that hidden Easter egg like in that show when
I would love it if like we get a season like that's alongside Breaking Bad. I would love that.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm kind of tired. So Walt and Jesse go to a Los Polos restaurant.
Yep.
And it's really cool because Gus is like in the background this whole episode, and like you just think, oh, he's like the waiter, whatever. If
you actually watch like the first like scene where they actually go to it, you like see Gus like right away, but you like don't connect that like he's a part of this.
Yeah, you would. And that's exactly what I like about Gus. You just wouldn't expect him to be like this massive drug kingpin,
Yeah. And like Jesse, like he's like depressed too, about like, Combo's death. And it ties in. And this is like when
this kind of shows how fucked up Walt is. When Jesse says Combo dies, Walt says, which one was Combo?
Yep. And like this is when like, Jane like finally confronts him, like, yeah, you're a drug dealer pretty much. I
brought this up before we start recording, but it's kind of weird how like, not weird, but like it kind of shows how like weird Jesse is being about this, because like in season 3 when Jesse like really wants to kill those dealers who like killed Combo, Walt is like, oh, you want to avenge him now that you're dating this girl, but like you didn't want to avenge him a couple months ago when it actually happened.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah.
So
Jesse shows up to the place like high, and he's late, and I like it too because when this happens, Gus even comes over to them but like you wouldn't even like make the connection like he's even like a part of this. He just asked like how the meal's going. But like it's so like I said, I want to stress this enough too. I have not gone back and like watched this episode knowing who Gus is now and everything. So it's so cool to kind of watch it back like now.
Well, there was a part like I think last season where like Gus was like introduced to Hank.
Yep.
And like we had no idea who he was,
Yeah. So it's so cool. And eventually like Walt's upset because like he waited for this guy and he never showed up. So Saul tried to tell him now, like now it's a no-go pretty much because he didn't like the way pretty much Gus had like a bad feeling about Walt. And Saul
one like Walt confronts him on it, like why he didn't show up. Gus was like, You're unprofessional. Like your partner was high, and like I can't trust you.
And basically, like Walt figures out it's Gus pretty much because he goes to the restaurant and like looks all over for the guy he's supposed to meet, and I think he figures out he's Gus because he like sees Gus watching him, and he figures out like business guy. It's
and
Gus.
I think like he realized like Gus was like the only other person that was in the restaurant that day.
Yeah. So this seemed like when they first have their conversation, like.
I like how Gus, like Walt's like sitting there all day,
Yeah.
And finally he's like he confronts Gus, and Gus like tries to play dumb, like, "Sir, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But Walt's like, "No, not the shit. I know who you are."
Yeah. And you like see Gus like make that switch to like Los Polos Hermanos like owner to drug kingpin.
Yeah, like instantly, which is really.
And basically he confronts him on it, and Walt even says like you won't ever have to do business with him, which is a kind of a cool like hindsight quote now. And you could just do business with me, and he'll work under me pretty much. And Gus kind of like leaves, but he doesn't say like whether or not like it's gonna continue. He says, "I have your numbers," pretty much. So we're kind of left in question about it.
And I like the flip, how like at the beginning Gus respects Walt, doesn't give a shit about Jesse. Towards the end, completely reverse. He respects Jesse, wants to kill Walt.
Yep, it's pretty damn cool. Then like later on in the day, Walt gets like a text, and this is kind of cool because like Walt would always keep like his phone like in an air duct at the school, so like you always wonder like I wonder if this is ever gonna go off like while someone's in a class, and it did, so it's kind of cool. Walt gets a text. I think we're left to think it's from Gus, but I think it was probably like from Victor because like he was at the restaurant at the time, and this is like when Walt finds out like Gus, because we're left to think like Gus was like a manager or something, but we find out he actually like owns like all the restaurants.
Like the whole chain.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of cool in a way, and Walt bumps into Victor, and he basically like says like gives him like a destination he has to go to in like an hour, and if Walt misses it, pretty much like
it feels off.
Yeah, like permanently. And earlier in the episode, this is kind of sad in a way. Like Jane like was clean for like 18 months.
Yeah. And like it's not like Jesse was being an asshole. Like, oh, you got to do this with me. He was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna do some stuff. Like take off. You should.
And it's like one of those things. Even though Jesse like just being around someone like that.
It can like make her want to do it again.
Yeah.
But like Jane honestly takes it further because like she's the one who introduces like heroin and needles and shit.
Yeah. And it's what's kind of cool about it in a sense is like in life we always hear like if you're ever gonna get clean, don't be around people because they're gonna manipulate you. But here I feel like Breaking Bad kind of educated people and saying like no, that's not completely how it is. It's just
I mean, I'm sure it is like in other cases, but like here it's like Jesse's a good dude. He didn't want her to get back into it.
Yeah.
But like she just being around that habit, makes it hard for her to like resist.
And Jesse and Jane inject heroin, and like I like the like how like they zoom in and like show like the effects that Jesse's feeling, like what he feels like he's like off the
I like how it shows like Jesse starts to fly, but like and then you can see on Jane like in the back and like in the background like start to do it too, and like she starts to take off as well.
Yeah. So Walt tries to contact Jesse.
Because Jesse's the one who's holding all like the meth they cooked.
Yep. And he can't get a hold of him. And, Walt's in a huge rush. And earlier in the episode, Skylar, we see who's working for Ted again, which we mentioned. But, Skylar starts to go into labor. And this is important because she was supposed to have a C-section, but Holly is early. And it kind of sucks because, like, I don't think Walt ever would have thought, like, Skylar was going to go into labor. Because I think she's, like, a week early or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I was like a week late, So, like, it's... Once you get around that time frame, it's kind of, like, iffy.
And then, so Walt breaks into the place, and, like, he's continuously getting calls and texts from Skylar, but he's not answering, because he's not really in the place to answer. And, he continuously asks Jesse where the meth is, and Jesse... It answers him, but like you could just tell, like he's gone,
like out of it. He's like under sink or something.
And
like later, Jesse doesn't even like remember that.
Yeah, and he grabs all the meth, and then he looks at his phone and sees like a text message comes through where Skylar says baby's coming, and I like this scene a lot because now Walt really like. Because the whole reason Walt did this was for his family. And now Walt literally is like has to make the choice: does he go and miss this deal and miss any chance he has of like ever getting money for like Holly and stuff, or does he actually go do this deal and miss the birth of his daughter?
So it's like, it really is like a lose. It's like it sucks for him no matter what. Yeah.
I even like to like
Walt does what any good dad does and chooses work over his kids.
Yeah. I even love to like Walt even is like no, not now, because this is like the worst time in the
God, it really is. And it just kind of shows like how like Walt went into this like to provide for his family, but he ends up ignoring his family in the process.
Yep. And that's kind of what season 2 did. Like Walt basically was out of the house like the whole time. Like he was like they tell that story like he's never home. Him and Walter Jr. like aren't really seeing eye to eye, like in a sense. So it's very cool. And I like to the next episode, we know he misses the birth of his daughter and he lies into traffic, but we're kind of still left in the question, like, did he go do the deal? Because he could have just shown up late because Walt wasn't even like at the high school and stuff like that and all that. So but then, when he goes home, we see like he has all this money, so we find out he actually did do the deal. And you can tell Skylar's like depressed, that she, he missed the birth, but like she can't.
She doesn't know that like he like, want to go do something else before that,
Yeah, she just thinks like he got caught in traffic and stuff like that. So she can't like confront him on it really because she doesn't have the evidence. And what's one cool thing that we don't really talk about enough, like when Holly gets born, I think that's when Walt kind of starts to like feel proud of what he did. Like we see like later he like shows her like all the money that he made for her. So it's kind of like Walt kind of feels vindicated for doing what he's doing in a sense. Mm-hmm. The next day, Jesse wakes up, and finds all the meth is gone. And he tries to call Walt about it. Walt kind of like, I think he wants Jesse to feel guilty because, like he's screwed up because he made him miss the birth of his daughter. So in a sense, you could kind of sympathize with Walt on this one. Because like, had Jesse not gone high and, dropped the ball in a sense, he wouldn't have missed the birth of his daughter.
Yeah, like Walt could have had his cake he needed to, but Jesse kind of fucked it up.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, Walt was, like, super disappointed with Jesse. Like, he saw the needles, and he was like, oh, Jesse, no. Like a disappointed dad,
Which is cool. And, Jesse, like, finds all the messages that Walt left him and figures out that, it was, Walt that took the meth. And he goes to, Walt's high school to, I like how I say it's Walt's high school. Like he owns a freaking like his class.
Like if Walt owned the high school, he wouldn't turn to meth.
Yeah. But like he goes to the high school, and I guess it was kind of cool. Like this is the first time like they say like Jesse went back to Walt's class since
he took the class.
So it's kind of like, a different relationship that they're gonna have. And Jeff said, pretty much that like Walt made him feel guilty for like taking the meth. And when Walt says like you maybe missed the birth of my, daughter, you can tell Jesse like generally feels bad about that. Like his
Yeah,
screw
like
up.
he's like, okay, I fucked up on that.
Yeah. So Jesse wants to know like how much money they're both gonna get, and Walt doesn't want to give Jesse the money because he pretty much even says like he'll be dead within a week because he'll just use it all up on drugs and stuff. So he wants Jesse to pretty much stay clean, and then he'll get his money.
And like, I mean, it's still a dick move because like ultimately Jesse is an adult, like it's his money.
Yeah.
At the same time, Walt is looking out for him. It's not like Walt was like, you're not getting the money at all. It's like, no, get clean and then I'll give you the money.
And what I like about this scene a lot is Jesse tries to use like that speech that he always uses on his parents, like, "Hey, I'm gonna get better," and like his parents always bought it until it was too late. Like this time, like Walt doesn't buy it like at all, and I think that kind of shows like in a sense like how different. Like even though they have that father and
I
son,
feel like it shows that Walt knows Jesse more than his own parents do.
Yeah, pretty much. He tells Jane about it, and Jane, and they're actually shooting up heroin as he's telling her about this too. And when I like to, because Jesse goes into the effects and is telling her the amount, and she just thinks it's like almost $500, but she finds out it's like $480,000, like almost $1 million, pretty much. And this ties in later on. We should come back to this because once storyline we should talk about now. And it's our favorite storyline in the whole show.
Yay.
Before Skylar goes into labor, we find out something about Ted, and even though we hate this storyline, it actually affects.
Unfortunately, so we got to talk about it.
Yeah. So when you
Ted
talk about it, because I know you
love it. Apparently Ted has been like mixing numbers up like with accounts, like basically like tax fraud.
Yeah. And we find out that Skylar pretty much finds out about it. There's no way like Ted can bullshit around it. I feel like too this is kind of in a sense maybe where Walt kind of influenced Skylar because now she can just smell bullshit anytime anyone's giving her bullshit because Walt's lied to her so much.
And Skylar's like, this affects me because like I signed all these documents, like I can get in trouble for this too.
Yep.
So Ted's kind of an asshole. Like he just put her in danger for no reason.
Yeah. And Skylar, I even like how she says, like, I can't be a part of this, even though she's a part of something worse in season 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she eventually goes back to work, and then she goes into labor. But this is actually a very important scene because, a very important storyline. As much as we hate it, as much as you don't want to talk, because honestly, the storyline, you don't really know how bad it's going to get. You just kind of, like, think, okay, but then season 4 happens, and you kind of hate this scene even more.
Yeah. At the moment, it's pretty all right.
Yeah. But we find out Ted Beneke was the one who knocked because, in a sense, because Skylar, like, gave all of Walt's drug money to Ted, Walt pretty much had to make the bomb and have the crawl space scene happen so he could kill Gus.
That means Ted Beneke is the one who killed Gus Fring.
Inadvertently, yeah.
So that moment when Walt says, you know exactly who I am. I'm the man who killed Gus Fring. The guy should have said instead of Declan shouldn't have said bullshit. Cartel got Fring. He should have said bullshit. Ted got Fring.
Because he did it in a sense.
I feel like that would have been Walt would have been like, how the fuck do you even know who Ted is? But
Yeah. So it's kind of cool in a sense, like even though there's clearly no way they would have known like that little thing was gonna set up that whole thing.
Oh yeah, of course not.
But it's kind of cool in hindsight. Oh my gosh, we have to see those episodes. I have to go back and watch like those episodes again. Damn it.
Yeah, every time we talk about Breaking Bad, while we were recording this, I opened up like 3 tabs for Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I bet that wasn't one of them.
No, but it is now
though. Then back to we just want to make sure because we're talking about a pretty big storyline with Walt and Jesse right now. So, Walt. So pretty much, Jane's dad, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, so I'm just gonna call him Jane's dad.
Yeah, Jane's dad.
Basically, like, figures out kind of like that Jane's basically back on drugs because when
he shows up to like
Yeah.
see her, and like he sees her like leaving Jesse's apartment. And, it's like early in the morning, so like he put two and two together.
Yeah, but I think
he
also
storms in.
Yeah,
because like he thinks like, oh, like this guy is like sleeping with my daughter. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. But then it's even worse because he goes in and sees like needles there.
Yeah, but I think he was kind of putting two and two together, sort of, because like when she went to the meeting like a day earlier, she was like shaking, like she wanted, and like he basically like kind of put. I feel like this like he didn't know what was going on obviously, but like he kind of had a feeling like she's probably back on drugs like somehow. But then he's about to call her and like report it to the police basically when she's like refusing to go to rehab. But then eventually she just says she's gonna go to rehab. So
Yeah, she says like she'll go to rehab, but like she can't go now. She has to go like tomorrow, so she can like what was it, like talk to her job or like get ready or something.
Basically, she's just saying like anything like so that way.
But like her reason is pretty like convincing. Like if I were her dad, I'd be like, okay, I mean that makes sense. You can't just up and leave right now,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just bullshit.
Yeah.
So Jane comes up with the idea because she remembers what Jesse said about the money.
Yep. And
I feel bad for them. Like they're thinking of all these things they can do once they get the money. They're like, we can go to Paris and we can do this and we can do that.
Yeah. So Jane blackmails Walt into having Walt give the money to Jesse. By like saying like she'll report it to like the DEA and everything like that. And this is the scene that Walt can talk about where he should have died, because you see him like later on in the episode watching like the Discovery Channel on elephants, and like you see Skylar.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is that moment. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you hear like Skylar putting Holly to sleep, and this is the moment that Walt talks about where he should have just died right here. Because like I feel like Walt says that too, because he wouldn't have gone to see Jane.
Yeah.
And would have watched her overdose.
And like, I feel like that's like a moment a lot of people like overlook when talking about Walt. Like, the guy was like borderline suicidal. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And Walt eventually hands over the money. I like though he doesn't. He wants to give it like to Jesse. He doesn't want to give it to Jane, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he tries to talk to like Jesse, saying like you're making a big mistake, but Jane closes the door on him before he can like.
I feel like Jesse would have listened to reason if it wasn't for Jane being there.
Yep. And I actually like too like when Jane blackmails like Walt, Jesse like feels bad about it. Like he doesn't really like want to do this in a way because that shows like that Jesse still cares about Walt. So then they shoot up heroin, because they talked about how they were going to get clean. And I think they were just thinking, like, we have all this heroin here. Might as well use it up.
Yeah, kind of like one last hit, and then we're done.
Yep. And they actually tie this in, because when they do it earlier, Jane tells Jesse, like, to stay on his side, and that ties in, to what happens later. But you want to talk about, like...
Jane, so Walt shows up at their house later.
We should talk about first that Walt actually meets Jane's dad, not knowing it's his dad.
Oh, like, yeah. I thought this was like a flashback later on. I forgot to show it in the moment. Yeah. Walt is pretty stressed out. He goes to a bar, and there he meets Jane's dad, not knowing who it is.
Yep.
And they have a heart-to-heart, kind of like, because they're both going through like a similar thing.
Yeah.
And at first, like, you think Walt says he's talking about his son. Like, you think, oh, he's talking about Junior. But, like, as he keeps talking, you realize, oh, he's talking about Jesse.
Yep.
And, like, they both have, like a heart-to-heart over, like, their kids and, like, how they really want them to be better and, like, they're going to try to.
And it's, like, one of those things in this way where, like, a lot of people, like, can make, like, the assumption, like, it's just kind of God's magic in a way, like, working. Like, what a coincidence of, like, two people in that area.
Walt even said, like, of all the people in the world I could have had a conversation at a bar with, it ended up being him,
Yeah. And then you could talk about because this conversation like makes him like want to talk to like finally get like through to Jesse like one last time. So why do you talk about what happens when he goes to Jesse's like place?
Jesse goes into his apartment and he sees Jesse and Jane. They're just like passed out on heroin. But Jesse, I think it was Jesse, like accidentally knocks Jane like from her side to like her back.
Yep.
And she starts like choking she like vomits and like starts choking on it.
Yep.
And Walt is like about to go help her, but then like he realized like this lady is like a threat to me and she's a threat to Jesse, so he lets her choke and die. And that is a powerful moment for Walt,
Yeah.
Like Jane was kind of like bitchy, but like she wasn't a bad person, she wasn't like Crazy 8 or like Tuco,
Yeah, and it's like up until like this was like up until later. This was probably like the worst thing like Walt had ever done. It's still questionable, like if it is the worst.
I think Vince Gilligan said like in his eyes like letting Jane die was like the most evil thing.
Yeah.
Or it was either letting Jane die or like telling Jesse that he let Jane die.
Yep. And it's funny when you watch it because Bryan Cranston does an interview about this, and he said this was like the hardest scene that he ever had to film when he shot Breaking Bad, because like you see Walt cry in this scene, and I like to think like there were like genuine tears that Bryan Cranston himself was having, because he talks about how he has a daughter himself, and it would be like watching like one of his own kids like die from this. So it makes you question, like in a sense, like how many times.
I mean, that shows he's a really good actor. First off.
Yeah, it makes you question in a sense, like how he was feeling going into the scene and everything. Like when it actually was being shot, and it kind of shows, like in a sense, like I feel like too, like no one else would have like signed off on like doing this scene other than Bryan Cranston. Like anybody else would have been like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, money's money,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but like it just kind of shows in a sense, like I feel like too, like like if Bryan Cranston didn't want to do it, Vince Gilligan wouldn't have forced him to do it, type of thing too.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I feel like too, Bryan Cranston talked about how it's the most difficult scene he had to shoot in Breaking Bad. I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably the most difficult scene he ever had to like shoot in his life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty powerful moment. So.
I bet if you went to ask Bryan Cranston like 2006 when he was doing Malcolm in the Middle, if you asked him like, hey, you're gonna do a scene where you're gonna watch someone get overdosed and die, and you have to like sit there and watch it, and like not do anything about it, he would be like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
like,
fuck.
Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle got really crazy in its last season.
So then so it's really cool, and this scene is like what.
Oh, I gotta open up another tab for Breaking Bad.
Yep. So this scene, in a way, like sets up, basically the rest of the show pretty much, because they talk about this in the Fly episode. They talk about it. I mean, they don't talk about it like fully, but like it's like they basically like let it sit for a while, until like it's like the last scene, and it's like the last thing that Walt says to Jesse before he frees him from slavery, pretty much. So it's kind of cool in a way. Like how long this scene, like how much influence this scene had on the whole show. And you forget in a way that it's not the last episode of season 2.
I feel like it would be a crazy thing to like end off on.
I kind of think even though like because
I am glad they didn't end it off though. I personally I feel like the season 2 finale is like the weakest out of all 5, but like it's still really good.
Yeah, I feel like though that could be a what if. What if this was the last episode of season 2?
Yeah.
But then
I feel like it would make like the plane crash less impactful. So
yeah.
I mean, I am kind of glad it is like that is the finale.
So I'll let you talk about the next thing, how like the aftermath of and in a sense, if it was the last scene, we would have never met like one of the most important characters in Breaking Bad, because when you talk about what happens like the aftermath of this incident.
Jesse wakes up, and it is so sad. Like, you see Jesse like giving her like, like doing the CPR thing, like where you put your hand, like pump him, and like he's like crying. He's like, come on, come on, come on. You feel Aaron Paul is a great actor. For a guy who took no acting classes, the guy is really good.
Some people just have it.
Yeah, I guess so. Wish I did. So like, God, you feel so bad for him, and like Jesse like completely blames himself, and like he is kind of at fault, but like, you feel so bad because he does not know that Walt just let her do it,
Yeah.
And he actually calls Walter on the phone, like crying, like, "Oh my God, she's dead, Mr. White, I killed her."
Yeah.
And thank God, Bob, whatever, I can't pronounce his last name, the guy who plays Saul. Good thing he couldn't make it to the shooting that day, because we get introduced to one of the best characters in the show, the cleaner, Mike Ermitro.
Yep. And this is cool because without Mike, I mean, not as much like seasons 2 and 3, but like 4 and 5 in a sense would be completely different without Mike.
Definitely 5.
And they talk about how they had to make this new character up, clearly because they had to, basically, and this is why it's in a good way. Like, that's not the last episode of season 2, because Bob Aldrich.
If that was the last season, if that was the last scene, they could have had Saul come in for this scene instead, which was what they were going to do originally.
Yeah. So, Mike.
In the scene, like Mike is like he works for Saul sometimes, basically.
And I'll say this, like, I mean, Saul's great. He would have like nailed this, but no one could have done this scene but Mike.
Exactly. Like, I can't imagine it with Saul instead. Yeah. Mike comes into the apartment. He gets all the drugs out of there. He asks Jesse, like, all right, any more around here? He actually like slaps Jesse to be like, hey, focus here. Come on.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because like the first time we meet Mike is a scene with Jesse, and it's important because like
it's kind of crazy how like here like Mike, he's just like, oh, whatever, this random junkie kid.
Yeah.
But later on, like Mike ends up viewing Jesse as like a son, and that's kind of crazy.
I feel like too like we not that Saul would be bad in this scene, but because of his character, he like makes the jokes and everything, and I feel like that wouldn't really work.
I mean, I feel like he wouldn't be making jokes in this scene, but like it'd still be weird, having the comic relief guy here.
Yeah. So like it wouldn't like Mike was just and Jonathan Banks, I think like had played like this type of role before, and I think like you don't really know like Mike's history, but it's implied. They basically like imply like he was a cop because he basically knows everything that's gonna happen pretty much like from this.
They do reveal later on in the show that he was a former cop.
But like you don't really know that because
at the moment, no, you don't know that.
And when everybody shows up, it's really sad. Like when Jane's father comes in, because he like.
He's thinking like, oh, I'm gonna bring my daughter to the rehab and hopefully she'll be better. Yeah. He shows up and like the cops and ambulance are there.
And you can kind of tell like he feels guilty himself in a way because like.
I like how he doesn't really like get mad at Jesse or like blame him. He's just like in disbelief.
Yeah. And
like I feel like he can tell like Jesse's like super messed up as well.
Yeah, and you could tell like he kind of feels like at fault for himself. I think blamed himself a little bit because had he just. Had to go to jail that day, it would have saved a life.
Not jail, but like,
rehab.
Or maybe he felt like maybe you shouldn't have been so hard on her.
Yeah.
He probably thought a million things,
Yeah.
Hopefully, I wouldn't hope that situation on anyone,
Yeah. So, the rest, a lot, of the episode is like. Because this is, like, the last time we see Jane's father, pretty much. Like, you see, like,
for the season, yeah.
I thought it was the whole show. I thought we didn't see him again.
They mentioned him on the radio in season 3.
Okay, I forgot about that. Pretty much, he, is not taking this well. And we'll just leave it there for now, because we probably should save that for, like, the last thing that we talk about in the video. And we didn't talk about this, but like a lot of this, we knew like at some point in this episode, Walt was going to go in for a surgery because in an episode, Walt can do the surgery and pretty much it's going to maximize basically his life pretty much. And this really, I think, shows like how much Walt has changed just doing this, because in like the first episode, he wanted like basically to like talk everything out about like what, like, step by step about like why he wanted to do this. And like Skylar thought, was this way too, but Walt openly just wants to do the surgery because he knows like, it's gonna maximize his life so he can like keep cooking meth and stuff like that. Which you could make the argument maybe that's like a negative of like, Walt doing this. Like he doesn't even like, he only wants to really live just so that way he could keep like cooking meth and stuff like that instead of like
that's like his only reason right now.
Yeah.
It's his baby blue. I gotta sing that every episode, dude.
And then in this episode, Walter Jr. makes the website, the GoFundMe Walter White page, pretty much.
And you can tell Walter doesn't like it. He doesn't like the charity, and like his ego's too big.
Yeah. And I think he's especially upset because like he actually like has the money to like, pay for everything, but like,
and like he just can't do it, because like,
yeah.
Like,
so
people are gonna be like, where'd you get all this money?
Yeah. So Saul actually comes up with a great idea. So pretty much he has like a guy like that can like hack like several computer accounts and make it look, and like puts Walt money through it, but make it look like it's like separate donations, which is actually like pretty cool. And pretty much though, like, even though like I even like to like when Walter Jr. finds out he's getting all these hits, I this is like a comedy thing I think about. Like Sally even says, "Don't you want to say thank you to your son?" Like Walt, you can just tell Walt's just thinking, "What did he do? I'm the one that's doing all this shit. You just made the website so that way." There's actually a funny scene actually. It's a meme where like he even like shows Walt like, and it says, "Thank you, son. You just gave me, you just gave me a place to put all my money, pretty much."
I know, right? Pretty much.
So if you think about it, like, inadvertently, Breaking Bad's caused like a lot of funny memes to happen. I don't think it
really
was
has. The Pete's on the roof and stuff.
Yeah.
The I am the one who knocks.
Yeah. So you could tell Walt's still upset about it though, because like he can't. He's still not. And this is like a tie-in. Like he's not.
He can't take credit for all of his money.
Yeah. And like when he gets like the TV shoot like interview, which I forgot even happened. Like he has to like pretend like he's proud of his son in a way. I mean, he probably is like somewhat.
I mean, he is proud of his son, of course, but like like for this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's just embarrassed, like he doesn't want people to pity him.
Yeah. I want to talk about too what Jesse's doing this whole episode.
Jesse he keeps calling Jane's cell phone number over and over again.
Yeah.
And like he like listens to her voicemail, hangs up, calls her again, listens to her voicemail, hangs up, like, and that's really freaking sad.
Yeah. And he stays at a drug house, and I forgot Mike was in the episode again, because he actually is the one that brings Walt to it. So I actually forgot.
Oh, right. Yeah, can I talk about the scene? I forgot it. I forgot this was here.
Yep.
Walt goes into the like the drug house and to like find Jesse, and he sees him just like in this pile all spaced out. And I like how Walt's like, "All right, come on, son, we gotta get out of here." Like another just time, Walt calls him son, which is really cool. And Jesse starts crying in Walt, like he hugs him, he starts crying, and you can tell Walt really at this moment really, really, really regretted letting Jane die, because like it just messed Jesse up inside.
And
even worse because Jesse blamed himself, and he's like, "I killed her," and like I loved her more than anything. That part really got to me.
And pretty much when Jesse goes to rehab, basically he can't move.
Walt brings him to the rehab, which I think is nice.
He basically can't he doesn't even care about having himself get better, pretty much, because he's just such in guilt. Like he's probably getting clean, but he's not happy, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Walt's trying to tell him to move forward and everything, and that's like the last we really see of Jesse. But I kind of like it. Like even though Jesse he isn't in the episode a whole lot, like he's
getting better. Like he's in a better situation than he was.
Yeah.
Like he hates himself a lot right now, but like at least like he's in a safe environment.
And I think one thing we don't really talk about when we were talking about like the Jesse and Andrea scenes. This is why like Jesse like wanted to give Andrea a better life and like never didn't want to like put her like into any of like his stuff. Because of what happened with Jane. I feel like that really sticks with him.
Yeah.
And you know, eventually and then I think that's why he like hates like why he hates Walt even more, because Walt made him blame himself for like almost a year that he caused Jane's death when he finds out it was just Walt all along.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he still blamed himself, like no matter what, because like he put her in that situation.
Yeah, but like he
definitely like he could have been tossing a lot of the blame at Walt, and like he was tossing it all at himself.
Yep. So then, even though the episode's very significant, you're wondering what one thing is going to change this season. That's makes it a season finale. So when Walt goes for surgery, he's all high on I can't think of the name of the stuff.
Just like pain meds.
Yeah. And basically he doesn't really know what he's saying, and Skylar asks for his phone. And Walt says, "Which one?" And that basically Walt inadvertently like told the truth, to Skylar.
Yeah, because Skylar suspected that Walt had a second phone earlier, but like couldn't prove it, and now it's like confirmed,
Yeah, and that's what I really like about like Breaking Bad, like
little moments that you think wouldn't play into it at all, like end up being super important.
And like
Hank didn't just play on his phone while taking a shit.
Yep.
Ended up changing the whole show.
And like can you imagine like if Walt, like, because Walt gets caught for like reasons that he can't control, like how could Walt have ever thought like he was gonna like accidentally give away yet a second phone while he was high on like pain medication?
Exactly.
And pretty much like Skylar can't confront him on it because he's about to go in for surgery, and basically like he can't do anything for like 2 weeks, so she basically has to. It's kind of cool in a way because like in relationships and stuff, you have to like be in the moment, but like Skylar was able to be like calculated now and like have plan out she got to basically like find out all of Walt's lies instead of acting on emotion, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're like they actually hint at it in a way, like when Walt's like in the doctor's like after his surgery, and
yeah, she's like asking when can Walt be on his own, like when can he function by himself.
And why don't you talk about the last like scene?
Walt is back at his house. He's by his pool, thinking, for the most part things are good.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and sees two planes crashed into each other.
Oh no, you missed one. This is when Skylar leaves him.
Oh yeah. All right, so spoilers, but that's how the season ends. Skylar takes the kids and like she's putting them in the car.
Yeah.
And she reveals that like she found out that Walt had a second phone, and Walt is like understandably like, I could have said I was on the moon while I was on pain meds, but she called Gretchen, and because she was thinking, oh, like they were in a relationship before, maybe like they're having an affair.
Yeah.
But she finds out that Walt they weren't paying for his treatment at all. Like they never gave him any money.
Yeah.
So she's like, this surgery costs so much money, and apparently no one paid for it. So she's like suspicious.
And like she finds out like Walt never saw his mom, which you talked about earlier. And I like it too because it's like finally Walt's lies like caught up to him in a way. Like they all kind of came full circle.
And really, this is kind of like the end of their marriage when you think about it. Like they were still married for a long time, and like there was a little bit of time where like they were in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
But like aside from like those little like a couple weeks where like they're good.
Yeah.
For the most part, like they're just like in a loveless relationship.
And basically I like how like Skylar even says like, can you just once not deny any of this stuff? And Walt kind of in a way grants her that, but like I feel like in a way like Walt kind of can't, because he can't deny it anymore, because there's like nothing that Walt can say
to make her think that like he is telling the truth.
But like with Hank, when like Hank confronts him later, like even though Hank has the evidence, he didn't have like that last little percentage to like prove that like Walt was
Yeah,
Eisenberg.
he wanted to think like deep down, like Walt, he's wrong and Walt's a good guy.
Yeah. But here, like basically, like you know, and I like it too because like I was even saying when I reviewed this episode at the time, I like how it happened, like in season 2 versus like season 4, because Skylar looked. I mean, everyone hates Skylar, but Skylar would have looked like really stupid
Yeah,
if like she
Skylar
didn't
has her
find
good
out.
moments. Like I'm glad she like called Walt out on his shit.
Yeah, and like Walt, like I even like you, like Walt's about to tell her like everything, but Skylar's like pretty much like afraid to know what it is. Which I liked. Like now Walt can finally tell the truth. But like Skylar is too afraid to know what the truth is. And funny thing is let's be honest, Skylar probably would have wanted to know the truth like then versus like seasons 4 and 5. Can you imagine like
yeah.
Season 5 he would have had to say, "Hey, I poisoned a kid," by the way.
I know, right?
I mean, I guess though.
I melted a kid.
Yeah, melted a kid. I mean, the only
imagine if like the first time Walt mentioned this is when he said, "We're robbing a train."
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he says it like nonchalantly in season 5. So
yeah, she's like, "What? Out burying dead bodies?"
Yep. I mean, the worst.
Imagine if that's the first time he's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I'm just robbing a train,"
So then, the airline crash happens because Jane's father like is having trouble coping with like the death of his daughter, and this is like found out like I think we knew he had this job, but like this is like the first time
they like offhandedly mentioned that like he like navigates planes.
Yeah, and
he seems normal. His friends are like, "Hey, I'm sorry about your daughter," and he's like,
"Yeah,
thanks. Well, I'm glad to be back at work."
Yeah.
And it like apparently it hasn't been that long. How long has it been? Do you think like a week or two?
Yeah, something like that. Probably wasn't you could say this is on the company a little bit, because not the best idea to have somebody navigate planes that just lost their daughter and all that stuff.
Yeah, like clearly like emotionally unstable. Or like zoning out a little bit.
But I like it too.
And like you see him zoom in, like constantly, like zooming in on his face, closer and closer, like as he's navigating the planes.
Yeah. So then,
so like he's not like doing it right.
Yeah. And yeah, the plane crash happens, and
they built right above his house.
Yeah.
And that's what was at the beginning of the season when they were scooping like that like teddy bear out of Walt's pool.
And we're like, we see it like get brought up again and again. And I think we were left to think like something happened like with Walt, like Walt got caught or something. Like we weren't really like sure. But
I got this from Wisecrack's video on Breaking Bad season 2. But the episode titles, I think it's like every other one spells like flying over ABQ.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
the one before flying is like the plane number.
Yep.
So that's like a really cool detail that like they like hid like a message in like the episode numbers.
And yeah, so that's actually really cool. I like though what I like about this a lot is it shows that like Walt and Jesse's like shit was ineffectively influencing like people like they didn't even know, like the people in this plane crash lives got.
Jesse accidentally got hundreds of people killed.
Yep. And I think that's like a cool like little detail, like and
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. That like that it's because of everything that they did, and eventually like caused other people's lives and everything.
And I like how this is more season 3, but like how they each like cope with it differently. Like Walt denies it, that he had anything to do with it. Yeah. Like Jesse like accepts it, like I'm the bad guy. This is all my fault.
And Walt even says like when he's at like the assembly, which you could say this is like a good point. Like it seems like a national tragedy now, but like no one's gonna talk about it like in a month or something like that. I think it's like kind of like Walt like denying it even more because like he knows like he's the one that's like
like Walt had a hand in it, so he's like trying super hard to like make it seem better than it is.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
And that, by the way, that teddy bear, couldn't help but notice half of its face was burned. I wonder if that's foreshadowing something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. And yeah, I mean, after this episode, it like changed it because like Walt and Skylar's marriage is never the same, like we talked about. And Jesse changes like forever, and that's season 2.
Honestly, I feel like this is like the end of Act 2 kind of thing. Well, that and the end of season 3, like kind of like the bleakest. It's only sorry, words. This is probably the bleakest ending to a season so far, or in the show.
But before we do the letter grade, I feel like no one really talked about like how important season 2 like kind of is in a way of breaking.
It really is. It sets up a lot.
We meet like the integral characters like Gus, Mike, and Saul. Jane's death happens in this season, which is like something that gets used like throughout the rest of the show. We're seeing like Walt and Jesse like breaking into the business. We're seeing their bond get closer and closer. The Tuco and Hank shootout scene happens.
It's very important.
And it sets up that whole Salamanca like thing in this season. So a lot of things get like set up in this season. One thing we should talk about too is in season 2, even though like after like the Tuco shootout scene, like Hank's not a big role, but he's still like it still shows he's solving the Eisenberg case. And I like to like Hank like the only one that kind of like thinks that it's bullshit that the guy that they arrested wasn't Eisenberg and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of like a cool detail that like showed like Hank was like basically the smart like one of the smartest DEA agents in the world pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just cool. And like I said, it's nice to watch like this season in hindsight back after like seeing 3 and 4 and even 5 to a lesser degree. It's really cool. And yeah, I just really it has actually episodes too like you can really like. But yeah, what do you give this what do you grade this episode as like a letter grade?
I'm giving this season a B+ or an 88%.
Yeah, same.
Very great season,
Like the only flaw is like, while they're still doing stuff in between like the Hank and Tuco shootout and like Better Call Saul, not a lot itself is happening.
I feel like this season is like season 3, 4, and 5 have like good setup, but they also a lot feels like it's happening. Yeah. Season 1 and 2 have the problem of like it sets up a lot, but like it doesn't feel like a lot's happening,
Yeah.
But like I will say this, I feel like if season 1 is setting up what Breaking Bad is going to be, this is like the first season where it's like this is Breaking Bad, like this is what the show's like.
Because mainly like they found out they could actually like because like season 1 they were just they didn't really know if they were gonna have like a future in a way. It was just like
they're like testing the water.
Yeah. But
we meet Saul, we meet Mike, we meet Gus. A lot of important things happen in the season that set up everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically the end of the video. And yeah, I'm excited to watch season 3 again. I haven't watched season 3 really since like these 3 seasons I haven't watched in like years, but like 4 and 5.
Same. I've seen 4 and 5 quite a bit. I haven't seen 1 and 2 in a long time, so I'm definitely happy to
like season that. So that's why like when I was talking to AJ like they never went up like the thing again. You said like a lot of it's in season 3. Well, I don't remember.
The plane incident. That is kind of a flaw. Like that, like they don't really bring the plane crash up again after like season 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like forgotten about.
Yeah, pretty much. But season 3 I remember a lot like because I remember it like mainly towards like after the Hank shootout and stuff. Like I don't remember like the beginning stages of it, but like still. But I'm looking forward to watching season 3 again. So I'm excited for that. But yeah,
that pretty much wraps it up. This is really good season. Again, B+, 88%.
Yeah.
Tune in next week or in a couple days when we do the first half of season 3.
Yeah, this time we're gonna do episodes 1 through 7 because we have to pretty much because the Hank shootout scenes in episode 7, so that's like a good stuff. Yeah.
So check out CM Brothers, Owen Talkinator, Wrestling Fortune 44, and AJ Talent if you want to see any videos with us. And then,
yeah,
that's pretty much it, guys.
Yep. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.